Hello, everyone. Heather Holmes here with KTV Fox 2 News in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I am joined by three people very active in the Oakland community. I'd like to introduce Shonda Scott, and then Kathy Adams, and Michael LeBlanc. Thank you all so much for being here. You're all with the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. I know that this has been a really difficult time for businesses, and Kathy, I want to start with you as the president of that organization. How are African American businesses being hit by this pandemic?
Well, the African American businesses are being hit the hardest. The retail businesses, pretty much all of the businesses that was typically doing business as usual prior to shelter in place. I mean, they're really struggling. And that's one of the reasons that, we're here today for the COVID-19 Resiliency Relief Fund, because they need help. Businesses are not being able to get the PPP, funds. So this is our call to action, so that when it's time to recover, there'll be something to recover. This is our attempt to show our support.
Can you just explain a little bit more about that fund, Kathy?
Okay, so the COVID Resiliency Fund is actually a program in which we will actually be raising funds. Our goal is to raise $1 million so that we can actually provide grants anywhere ranging from $5,000 to $10,000. All of the grants are predicated on the amount of funds that we've raised. We just launched the campaign 2 days ago, and we're already up to like 30,000 in commitment. And while we still have, a ways to go, we have a hefty goal to try to raise these funds, get them in, prior to June 30th. And so the fund is created simply for those businesses that don't have any access to capital. PPP funds didn't make it to their bank account. So we're saying we got to help to do something so that we can at least recover some of the Black businesses to keep them open. It's our effort, to make a difference in the community, because they don't have anything. And so these grants will be helping them. It's not a loan, it's a grant. And that's why we need everybody, to step up and take a leadership role in this, so that we can help our own Black and minority-owned businesses in Oakland.
And Michael, you are a restaurant owner. Will you try to take advantage of this fund?
Interestingly enough, absolutely. One of the things that I will do is I'll apply for the funds, and at the same time, I'm going to contribute, regardless of whether I get it or not. As Kathy said, one of our biggest challenges is access to capital, and there are institutional challenges that play into that. So for me, absolutely, I'm going after everything that I can, and at the same time, I'm also contributing to it as well.
Michael, talk a little bit about some of those institutional challenges for Black business owners.
Okay, so one of the things, access to capital is always the biggest thing. And just as when the initial programs were done by Congress, the big, like for me as a restaurant, the big chains are the ones that got the opportunity. Those are the people that have relationships with the banks, they have relationships with other backers and so forth. And for us, we'll have people that can contribute to us in, say, $10,000, $15,000 increments, if we have that, or even 5,000. Whereas there are other communities that have relationships that are longstanding, that have organizations that work with some of the institutions. And so it's a little bit of an advantage. I'm not trying to be a victim or anything. It's just that the way the institutions are set up, they happen to have more access for other individuals.
Shonda, you're also a small business owner. Excuse me, I want to go to Kathy now. Kathy, and Shonda, I know you are a business owner too, but Shonda, you are as well. How is your business going right now? And are you also going to try to take advantage of these funds?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you, Shonda.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. So my business, there has been some challenges during this time. Of course, some parts of our business are retail and concessions, and that has been hit tremendously because of the airport closures and the shelter in place. We were able to pivot on the consultant side because we had already started we've been using Zoom platform since 2016. So we had been already doing a work remote. So we just had to pivot to do it full time and all the time now. My focus is on actually helping to raise for the fund because I think there are groups that could not even apply for the PPP because of the requirements. Hairdressers, beauty salons and barbers and other individual consultant businesses. And so I think it's important that we help those that couldn't even go after the PPP. They don't get loans. The hair salon in African American community, I thought, was recession proof. But COVID-19 has showed us, with the shelter in place and the businesses being closed, just like many of the churches have been closed, that they're impacted in an industry that we thought would always have, customers and support. So my focus is on helping to raise for this fund as much as we can, even if we raise hopefully more than $1 million, because that's how much need that we have. Because African Americans historically have not been able to provide generational wealth. And it's not because we don't have the incentive and the motive. It's just things have happened, such as Black Wall Street being burned and torn down and never being able to keep that momentum. So this is our opportunity to change the trajectory of our culture and our businesses, to allow for us to build a fund where we are building our own table and not asking for a seat, collectively working together. So that's going to be my focus, to help. If we're all in it together, then I'm all in it to help all of us be together.
Hey,
go ahead, Michael.
Could I add one thing into what Shonda just said when we're talking about institutional challenges? Let's take one variable, speed. So when PPP first came aboard and other loans made available by the SBA, the one thing that larger organizations could do is they had attorneys and accountants that could provide and do those applications in a day. We have to hustle to make that happen. And we're wearing 15 hats. I'm washing dishes, I'm plating up food, I'm taking orders, and now I have to stop that and fill out an application. I have to call my accountant, who also has 5-10 other clients that they're working with. So from a speed standpoint, when it becomes first come, first serve, everybody else has already put in their applications, and now we're number 257 as opposed to being number 10. That's just one, speed is one little variable of an example of what the institutional challenges could be.
Yeah, and just having resources too, just because a lot of the businesses weren't already on a platform that now is the way you have to do business. So part of this fund we can help businesses that are still around and still want to be viable in our community, but help them pivot to actually be on the platform, to have their business online, to have the Zoom options, like Kathy was saying, her business now can do virtual events and have that option to help those businesses get up and running. So when we are out of shelter in place, they're up and ready to go and not starting from ground zero.
Yeah, and Kathy, how concerned are you that if these funds don't come through, that the local hair salon, the barber, those independently owned businesses may in fact have to close for good?
Well, it's daunting. This is a very vulnerable place to be in. And while I understand your questions clearly, I have to believe and know and have faith that we are going to definitely, raise these funds to be able to keep these businesses in place. And I think that with the fact that shelter in place has prohibited them from being able to open, I think that there's a way that even if we've got funds for the money that they would probably normally, just say a hairdresser, now shelter in place is up, they can have one client in there at a time. Well, the funds that they did make, those funds can help buy the supplies and the product and offset a little bit.
Shonda, what about you? When you sort of look at the landscape right now, obviously it sounds like all of you are very optimistic that you're going to be able to get these funds, but there is a reality here. How does that make you feel, Shonda, in knowing that so many people in your community, are really struggling right now?
Well, like I said, historically for African Americans, we have always had to come over hurdles and still succeed. So we're given, and we know we've been through these hurdles before that our family have come through. My great grandfather was a son of a slave and a slave owner and became a developer in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. I mean, they've come over, we had reconstruction and we rebuilt. It's just a matter of us building our wealth now to order to pass it down for multi-generations. And this community, if we all are in this together and we collectively work together, we will come out stronger and better than where we were before COVID, even COVID-19. Some people's businesses have expanded. The Red Bay Coffee, he had orders that he couldn't even meet because now online people love the product, and now he has a whole online business that he didn't have before. I mean, the churches have even realized that they could be borders. They no longer have walls that limit them to just the constituents that they have in their area. They're worldwide now. I mean, there's a lot of hardship. Yes, true. But there are a lot of things that have come out of this that have helped businesses. And we want to be the launch pad for those businesses that want to stay around and pivot. And we want to have the resources to help them actually make that pivot. Because this moment, we're more together than we've been in decades. And we can take this to another level. So yes, I'm going to continue to stay optimistic because I've seen us. I'm a single mom. I raised a son and had a business, and we've thrived. So I've seen the impossible done. So I know what we can do. And I know that all things are possible. So that's what we're leaning on, that faith.
Yeah. Boy, I love your attitude, Shonda. So Michael, I wanted to talk with you kind of personally about how you've been impacted by COVID-19 and then your message to those who might be wanting to donate.
Okay, let's see. The first thing I would say is from a financial standpoint, from the top line in terms of sales, as I mentioned before, we've lost at least 80% of our sales. And initially, I was prepared to shut down. From a community standpoint, I had a number of people call and say, look, dude, if you open up, we're going to be there to support you. And that's what's happened. So I've been able to pivot to takeout. It's taken a minute. It's getting better. It's a model that has a possibility of working because the challenges in opening back up with the requirements that the state of California just put out is going to be difficult for everybody, not just for me. So what I would say to the community out there is that right now, I feel like I am a model of what community support looks like. I have people coming to Hayward from Richmond. There's no shortcut. And they're buying like 1 or 2 dinners. If you're buying 10 or 15 dinners, I could see that. But at the same time, I get people coming from Danville. So there is a lot of community support. And I'm talking the greater community, not just the ethnic community. And with that, I would say to everybody out there, there's a number of us, as in any community, the small businesses are the financial backbone of the communities. And those are the organizations that provide most of the jobs. So that I would say to everyone out there, let's try, regardless of whether it's geographical or ethnic, keep the velocity of money within the communities that we're in. And the greater community of Oakland and what that can mean for us. And Oakland goes beyond the Oakland geography. It's a state of mind as well. I would say to you, even if it's $5, if it's $1, if it's $10, do whatever you can. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. When people say to me, oh, that's only going to cost $500. In the scheme of things, $500 might not be a lot to some people. To other people, when you don't have $500, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So anything that you can do, $20, it all mounts up. And one thing I would also say, when you asked earlier to Kathy, what would happen if we aren't able to raise the funds? Shonda and Kathy, seriously, getting this money. I don't have any doubt about it.
Actually, I have to say, after talking with all of you, I don't doubt it one bit myself. Kathy, I'm going to leave you with the last word here. Sort of your message to all of those that are watching this, and the encouragement that is going to be coming to small businesses from these donations.
Well, I would say to all of those businesses is that keep the faith, and we're definitely all in this together. We definitely see you. We care about you. This resiliency business, don't quit, don't give up, because help is on the way. And if we do this together, our businesses will recover.
Okay, great. And Kathy, for folks at home, tell them how they can donate.
You can donate by going on to our website at oaacc.org. and hit the donate button. It'll take you straight there to make a donation. So whatever you can give, we'll be so ever grateful and appreciative for your support.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shonda, Kathy, and Michael. Thank you so much for talking
Thank
with
you,
us.
Heather.
Appreciate it. And best of luck to all of you.
For doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.